Hello, buddy. Well, I hope you can see me. It's hard to tell in that camera. I've got my iPhone on the ground doing this video, so we'll see how it comes out. But I wanted to make a point today. I'm riding my horse to talk with you about training your dog and how all of the modern dog trainers and training methods have it backwards. What they do is they tell you to get a puppy. They tell you to take it everywhere. They tell you to socialize it to everybody. They tell you to have all kinds of strangers hold it and pet it and all of that. When you get a horse and you bring in an untrained horse, baby or adult, you train it at home, you bond with it, you give it basic commands, go, stop, turn, back. You do all of that before you ever take it anywhere. So when I have Bernie, if you've been watching his videos, he's getting ready to go home in a couple of days. When I realized he was going to be a service dog, I decided to do everything my way, which meant he only was here on the farm. He never went anywhere. He never met anybody. I taught him one thing, and that was a default sit. Now, what is default sit? Default sit is neutral. Just like with this horse, when he's in neutral, the reins are on his shoulders, and he's not to move. He's to stand here and do nothing. Just stand here, don't move. With a default sit, it's the same thing. When you're not actively working it or doing something with it, it's on the leash, then it is supposed to automatically, in my opinion, just sit. And I never used the word sit one time, never. All I did was notice him when he would sit and reward him when he would sit without food. Okay, you don't train horses with food. You don't need to train your dog with food. Now, in certain instances, with treats, when you're throwing it in the crate, you're teaching him to go and things like that. But I'm not a Pez dispensing treat trainer. Okay, I don't do it. So all I did with Bernie from 8 to 15 weeks was have him on the long flexi line. When he'd hit the end of it, I would give it a little bump. He would come back to me. He would follow me. I taught him to give to pressure and release. Okay, it's just like a horse. When you ask the horse to back, you put a little bit of pressure on it. It takes a step back, and you release the pressure. Add it, subtract it. Okay. If I want him to move forward, I'll put a little bit of forward pressure with my heel. If I want him to go into neutral, I'll lay the reins on the neck. This horse was taught all of this before I ever took him anywhere. Your dog, in my opinion, puppies should be trained 100% at home. This is my opinion. They should not go out and meet every person in the world. They should not definitely go out and meet every dog in the world. They don't need to be friendly with other dogs. They're your pet. They don't need to make friends with every dog and every person. This is not a commune. This is your home, and your dog needs to be trained to fit into your home and into your life situation. Now, critical socialization between 4 and 16 weeks. So, until he was 15 weeks old, he never left this farm. He learned how to behave on the leash. He learned how to do a default sit. That's all he needed to learn. He learned how to, of course, potty train. But other than that, that's all I taught him. That was it. Now, what we did when the new owner came, and the new owner did come and spend 10 days with him while I was on vacation. So he already knew her. And they did the same thing with him that I do. Just very basic, not teaching him tricks. You don't want to clog your puppy's brain with a bunch of information it doesn't need. What you want is a nice, solid citizen that will behave in the home or in any given situation. See, instead of having to take him out and socialize him, instead of having to show him everything in the world, instead of having him meet every single person in the world, instead of having him meet every single dog in the world, instead of having his brain filled up with a whole bunch of information that he didn't need, I want your head over here, put your head over here. All I taught him was walk when I walk, stop when I stop, keep 4 on the floor, and to do a default sit. That's it. So what did we do? We took him to South Point Mall in Durham, North Carolina. That was his very first outing, okay? And I'm going to put a whole bunch of that video on this video. He acted like he'd been there 150 times. There were people, there were strollers, there was all kinds of human beings, all kinds of nationalities, all kinds of garb. You had women that were completely covered with all the flowing stuff. You had kids running, you had the music playing. We went up and down the elevators, and you know what he did? He was perfect, because he had been taught to walk when I walk, stop when I stop, and do a default sit. That's all he was ever taught. He was never socialized, okay? If your dog is well behaved and trained and has a default, you don't have to socialize it. You just take it wherever you want it to go, and it's going to behave. This video I'm showing you right now is proof. That dog, his very first outing, well, take that back. The day before, we took him to Tractor Supply briefly, just to give him an idea of a little bit of a crowd. And then the next day, we took him to South Point Mall. In both instances, he was 100% perfect. Now, I don't allow anybody to talk to my dog or touch my dog when I'm out. Nobody, okay? To me, if you went out in public with a 2 or 3-year-old child, would you let strangers come up to it and get in its face and talk to it and offer it some candy and want to pet it? That's just creepy. That's 100% creepy. Same thing with your dog. My dog is well, I'm not going to say that. I look at my dog and pretend that I have my child. I don't consider my dog as a child. I don't consider myself a pet parent. Okay, but I'm going to say to myself, would I let anybody talk to or touch my child, and they're not going to talk to or touch my dog? And on his leash it said, do not pet, in training. And most people were very respectful of that. I had one guy walk up and start to do this, and I said, don't even think about it, in that tone. I'm not going to let some idiot stranger come up and ruin the training that I've been putting on this dog, okay? You have to go out and be an advocate for your dog. Tell people to leave your dog alone. You don't owe these strangers a thing. So anyhow, so I feel like the modern trainers have it backwards. They want you to take the dog out and socialize it, socialize it, socialize it, socialize it, socialize it. Then they want you to become a treat dispenser, treat dispenser, treat dispenser, and you end up with a neurotic nut job dog who doesn't know which end is up. I'm here to tell you, learn how to use pressure. There's a release, pressure, release, pressure, release. If I want him to step sideways, pressure with my right leg. Whoa. If I want him to step to the left, pressure with my left leg. If I want him to move forward, pressure, a little bit of pressure with both legs, but it's the release of the pressure that they learn from. It's not the pressure, it's the release of the pressure. That's how dogs are trained. That's how dogs were trained 100% of the time up until about 40 years ago. And all these trainers are getting rich because your dog will never be trained. It'll never be finished. So learn from Bernie. Keep your dog at home. Train it how to walk on a leash. Train it to do a default sit. Train it to pay attention to you. And then when it's 12, 15, 16 weeks old, after fear periods, whatnot, take it out and walk it. And make sure that it keeps doing what you taught it at home. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you can see my dogs. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dogs out here, all laying next to me in the shade, behaving. They're waiting for something to happen because they're in their default position. They got tired of doing the sit, so they all lay down. When I get up and move, they'll probably get up and move. So I'm going to get up and move and get on with my day. So thanks for watching. Come on, let's go. Come on. Let's go. get a pretzel?
We're running this insane campaign, and I got sent all the way from Miami. I drove for 12 hours.